some toys in here.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Today it's the Man-Child. Alright, so today for review, we're going to take a look at the new Masters of the Universe, new Eternia MOSQUITOR figure as part of the Masterverse series. So pretty cool. We get MOSQUITOR added to the line. I gotta say, it's been a pretty cool wave of figures. So I reviewed Mantenna, Anti-Eternia He-Man, and now I'm saving the best for last. At least the one I was most excited about is MOSQUITOR. But Mantenna is really, I think he's top of the list so far. But it's been a great wave. And yeah, here we go. Finally getting to him. So yeah, I remember getting MOSQUITOR in the vintage days. Very unique character, a figure with the, had the blood pumping action feature, the big head. He was kind of creepy cool, but yet weird with the head. But I got used to it. And, I absolutely love the Horde faction. And especially what they did with, the vintage, the origins, the classics. And now they're bringing them to New Eternia, which I think is great. So it seems like with this MOSQUITOR, he obviously doesn't have the blood pumping action feature. It seems something very similar to the classics that had an armor with the see-through chest plate with the fake blood inside it, right? Or piece of plastic in this case. I think with this one, though, it has interchangeable plates, I want to say. So you can see the one in the package has the full chest of blood. And then I guess there's one that looks like he's actually draining the blood and is running into the main glass plate on his chest. He comes with his vintage-inspired weapon, but, more complex looking. And looks like a couple different syringes that can attach between the nose, like a flexible one, and then the main one, it always went in a weapon. Or as part of the nose you can put in a weapon, or vice versa. That's pretty cool. Looks like he has a plug-in, almost like a hose in the back, something where he would be, the blood would be sucking from, right, going through that line. And what's also really neat is he comes with a pair of wings, which I think is a great addition for MOSQUITOR, because I added a custom pair of wings on my Origins one. I'll show it later. But yeah, here he is, looking pretty cool for the new Eternia series. And then here's a look at the photo illustrations on the back of the box, so we can see MOSQUITOR standing in a battle stance, holding his weapon in the left hand, the wing spread. And then go over to the right, you can see alright, so he has another type of blade too, I think, like a curved blade. They can also plug into the nose. There's another chest plate with the blood running. And here's a better look at the wings, so they do articulate or at least fold in. And if you notice in the background, look at that big skull. It reminds me of Battle Bones, maybe a new Eternia Battle Bones as far as a skull with a horn. And dropping down to the bottom of the box, there's a quick look at this bio for MOSQUITOR. You want to pause and read that. And these are all three figures that's included with this newer wave. Here's a look at the art on the left-hand side of the box. You can see Imp hiding up top here on the pipe, which, yeah, I thought we'd get an Imp with the other Horde act. I'm still waiting for one for the Masterverse series. And then, of course, here's a look at the art on the right-hand side of the box. Here's a quick look around a new MOSQUITOR out of package as well as accessories. Taking a closer look at this new head sculpt for MOSQUITOR. Yeah, it looks pretty cool on this Masterverse body because of the size of it. Even though it's a overly large mechanical head, it looks better now. I don't know, than the Origins or Vintage did. Only because the main syringe or needle or blade is removable. And that's what I used to always imagine with the Vintage one or the Origins, that it can retract in and come out. It's not always sticking out and you have this overly long nose, even though it is kind of long. But, for what it does, it is MOTU. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, I love the, look at the blades and the fins on the back, especially this sharp piece that comes off. And there's a look at the plug-in mechanism on the very back. You have some extra circuitry. It's sculpted and painted silver. Look at the eyes. So they're actually clear lenses over the main reptilian insect-like, the slit eyes on both sides. So he does, have that paint homage to the Vintage and Origins and whatnot, classics. And you can see the black highlights. It's all part of the same sculpt, I think. I don't think nothing separates. Aside the lenses is their own thing, probably glued over the eyes. As far as the articulation with this big wacky head on the Masterverse body, you can look all the way to the left, the right, go all the way down like that, and look all the way up. Pretty good. You can see it stands, decent off the neck pretty well. It doesn't look bad either with the gap. And you can see, again, how they sculpted and painted this plug-in nose piece. And pretty much with the head. So I like it. Does what it has to do. And, of course, we have interchangeable pieces, which we'll get into that later. Let's go down the figure and finish up everything else. Dropping down to the chest and buck. So, of course, here's a look at the blood-storing armor, right? So it has the big, wide chest, the Horde bat. Okay, obviously. And this one's the solid one that looks like it's full of blood. Now, this can pop off. And then here's the other chest plate. So, yeah, it snaps off. And that one, too, is just a piece of rubber in there. It looks like the blood is free-flowing before it fills up the chest. So, pretty cool. Again, I didn't expect the blood pump and action feature. But my only thing is, so let me see. All right, so flipping around is a better look at the wings. I'm not jumping around here too much. We'll get into that soon. As I already mentioned, obviously it's an armor piece. Now this is black rubber, as you can see, the main armor. And then the whole body is a light gray, where Mosquitoor was always black. I know New Eternia is trying to do something different. It's not bad. I can live with it, but now I feel like this armor piece is no longer part of his aesthetics or biology. It's just its own armor piece that could come off, and that's the whole point of that plug-in line, I guess, from the armor back to the head, and how you're going to get the blood through this mechanism into the chest plate. Yeah, I always like the idea of, the blood, like being part of Mosquitoor's biology, we'll call it, and it's that black mixed with that gray. Just, I don't know, it throws me off. It doesn't, a little bit mixed on that. I mean, it really cool looking for the armor, but okay, that's my 2 cents on it. So yeah, it feels off because of the color of the armor against the gray body. So, you can spin at the waist, right? And then with this armor on, you do have the ab, right? Crunch, go all the way forward, all the way up, spin at that. And then spinning them back around, let's jump right over to the wings. So looking at the armor now, so it can unbuckle, right? 2 pops here. We'll get into that in a little while. And a little bit of circuitry going on. How well, I guess once these, what it would take for maybe there's a pump in here or something, or how the blood will be stored through that line. And here's a look at those wings. They are fully articulated. They're about 5 inches long, maybe. Yeah, I guess good enough for this size Mosquitoor. I kind of feel like logically it could have been a little bit longer, but hey, it's a pair of wings. It works. They're like it's a translucent purple, sort of see through them. So that's a pretty cool effect. And they are fully articulated, right? So this one go up and down like so, and they are on a hinge joint, go in and out. Very similar to Buzz Off. Other ones are all the same, right? So you put them up like that. So it look like out and down, and then spinning them back around. Same thing. So they look like pre-flight out, or if you want to fold them back and up, so what they look like, and then down again from the back. So all right, pretty cool with the wings and what they got to do. If they add them to Mosquitoor like that. All right, so we talked about we'll get into the parts soon. So the chest, the nose, the body. See his new belt and the loincloth, that steel reinforced loincloth. It sort of pays homage to their other Mosquitoor, something very similar to it. This is a soft piece though, and it should probably wrap around here, but it just hangs there. Look at the front and the back. And then, so moving up to the arms. Yeah, so he has a newer style shoulder pad protectors with big hard spikes. Now this is flexible. It's actually attached to the armor, and they can pop off. You can pull them off if you wanted to, I think. Let me see. Yep. Okay, they're just like that. When you do that, you chip the paint. So you got to be careful of that. But if you don't want to use them, you don't have to. It's a neat addition, but they do flex, all the way up. Oh, all right, fell off. Let's leave it off for now. Let's look at the other one. So here's a look at the arms. They're just typical He-Man Masterverse style arms, I call it, right? In that very light, yeah, like a bluish gray color under my lights. It's not even a light, it's just, yeah, it's blue in it. So as far as articulation with the arm and with the shoulder pad that popped off, without it, go up, down, forward, back, bicep swivel, all the same stuff, bend at the elbow. Now this is really limited. Even though it's a double joint, it's like, give me a hard time. It's something between the armor and this big gauntlet glove. That's as far as I can go to the chest and nose, right? And here's a look at the newer style, yeah, gauntlet with the spines all over it. That's all part of the sculpt, I think. Yeah, it's all part of the forearm sculpt, but pretty cool design, painted. Right, and the other sides are all the same. And then he has 2 weapon gripping hands, like with big nails on it. So it's like just one big steel gauntlet hands. You can spin at these hands, and the hinge joint goes in and out. And then going back over the other arm with the shoulder protector, I'm just going to leave it on. We know that it pops up, come off. As far as the articulation with this in the arm, so you can go up, and this does go up. This will move. You can go down, forward, back. You have the bicep swivel. Again, right, test it all out, shoulder, same thing, elbow, and then go to the center of the body and down to the chest. So, pretty cool, for what the arms can do in these pieces, and I do like these gloves, but it does hinder the articulation a little bit on my figure. Moving back down to the waist and legs, so we know he spins at the waist, and we talked about the belt and the steel loincloth that hangs out, should be folded in, I think. As far as the legs, yeah, just regular Masterverse style legs, nothing new, right, and the newer, cast in that newer bluish gray tone. As far as the articulation, go all the way out with a split. kick forward, go back. It does have the drop joints like all newer figures. Has a cut. Can bend at the knee. Wow, that's really tight. Holy cow. Okay, bend at the knee. Be careful with that. Let's say kick. Let's just say okay, kick forward. And here's a new look at the. He had a newer space boots. I always used to call them space boots. He always had unique boots. Yeah, cool design for this Mosquito. I gotta say that. So you know, pays a little bit of homage to the vintage one with the that red steel piece coming out. Just to see the details around the back. But now it doesn't have just a regular foot. It's like a three-toed mechanical. It's like Mecha Godzilla or something foot. And as far as articulation, you can go up, down, rock side to side, and of course you can spin at the boot. And then the other legs are all the same. Go all the way out with it, right? Kick forward, go back. Have the hip joint that drops, spin, bend at the knee. That one's pretty tight as well. Okay, same thing with the boot. You can spin at the boot, same exact boot in detail. And the foot's all the same with the toes and the articulation. Go up, down, and spin all around or rock side to side. Moving forward, taking a look at Mosquitor's weapons and accessories. So there's his iconic vintage-inspired blaster, beefed up times 10. Look at that. Wow, really cool. Excellent details, obviously. It just has circuitry and little, I guess, buttons and all kinds of stuff going on. Here's the main handle or the grip, and then you have, I guess, another handle up front. So if you want to hold it with two hands like this, right, put the other hand under it, or you can just hold it one hand, like the vintage figure did. Now you notice there's a little, okay, this little hollow piece in the back. I'm assuming that's going to be for the spare attachments. I'll show you that in a second. And then you have like this insect armored or shelled armored plating on the main barrel. So I'm guessing what that is. And then there's the main plug for the accessories. Right, let's look from the other side. Now, here's a look at the accessories. Let's do this right now with the blaster. So you get the curved blade, which can go on his nose. We'll get to that soon. Pretty cool. And right, you can plug it in like so, and now you have a blade syringe, I guess. So you can use this as a striking weapon, or I guess this can hit and pull blood through this blade syringe, I'm going to call it, through the gun. A curved one, anyway. It's with a serrated end. And then, see, again, going back to this hole, you could put the attachments in it like that. I'm guessing that's what that's for spare attachment. So pretty neat. And then here's this regular nose, the vintage nose piece. Again, this would look like in the gun. Okay. Got that like so. And you can also store that in the back. Look like that. And then the last piece is you have this flexible tentacle-like syringe that can also plug into the gun. That's pretty cool. Whip all around. You know, it's pre-posed, so it's not rubbery, nothing like that. It doesn't have a bendy wire. Not going to bend. It's just how it is. But yeah, cool accessory. And that too, you want to store it in a gun like this and push it up and put one of these other weapons back in, whether it's this one's up or down. And then taking a look at his last two accessories. So here's that flex line. It's going to attach between the back of the head and the backpack for, I guess that's what the blood goes through when he's sucking it with the syringe out of that mechanical head. Pretty flexible, as long as it is. And then here's a look at that alternative blood chest plate with the, like, blood free flowing before it fills up, right? Has a couple tabs it's going to snap in from what I can see. And it's just, yeah, one big clear piece of plastic that can scratch easy, so you have to be careful. And has looks like a piece of rubber blood inside for the blood effect. So once again, taking a look at Mosquitor, let's set him up with his weapons and accessories. Going back to this full blood chest plate, to change it out with that flowing one, it looks like you're going to pull that rubber piece of armor back with your thumb. From what I can see, it's something that's like, yeah, you got to mess around a little bit. Yeah, it ain't coming out too easy. Wow. But I got to get under there, and I'm going to push this out, and then I guess snap this piece in. So let me do that off camera. Okay, here's a look with that full chest plate removed from the body. I had to mess around with it with a little pry tool, and you got to be careful of that. And yeah, this little tab, it felt like it was glued in there. It wasn't, but I was afraid I was going to snap that. So be very careful. And here's a look at the full chest plate and the back. Nothing special. And it's just a big piece of, yeah, rubber, or hard. Actually, it's a pretty hard plastic armor. And now we'll put this one back in. Now so there is two tabs up top. You can see it in the two lower ones. So it seems like you're going to put, let me see, these two in first, maybe. Like that. And then, no, I'm wrong. It doesn't go, well, yeah, see, it's a hard piece of plastic. It's hard to take it out and put it in. Maybe these two got to go in first. Again, you got to watch these tabs because you don't want to snap them. I'm trying to do this on camera, not to be boring. All right, so I'm sorry, the upper one's going first. I guess that makes sense. There you go. And then you push those two and then lock it in, right? Conform this. And there's a look with the chest armor in. With the blood. I actually like that better for some reason than this full one. I don't know. So I'm going to leave that in. And see that gap in there? Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is setting him up. Let's put his vintage needle nose in. There you go. There's a Liquid Mosquitor with that needle nose piece. And now you can spin it all around. It can be flat like it normally is, or that way. It's pretty cool. Look at that. All right. The next thing is let's flip him around. And we'll do this together on camera. And there's a look at the back with the bloodline, I'll call it. And we're just going to plug that into the... Oh, that's hard. Okay, there's a peg in there. Plug that into the back of the head. And then this piece is just going to plug in or push into the back of the armor somewhat. I can't believe how hard it is to go in there. Probably something you got to heat up. But it would look like that. And then lastly is, I guess just let's put the gun in hand. And now, just a quick look at Mosquito all set up with his weapons and accessories. All right, so obviously we got that blade on the gun. The spare piece on the back as a stock. You can move it up. Got that nose on, the wing spread in the back. And obviously I'm holding this gun like a rifle. It's kind of difficult. You don't have the articulation to make it look natural. You know, I think a rifle should look more like that. And it's possible, but it's something you got to, again, mess around with. All right, there you go. So, somewhat. Just got to bend the arm in. It's a little limited. Just a quick look at that setup. So, pretty cool, I think, with Mosquito, and position the wings how you want them. Fold them in, fold them out, or the other way. Okay, and then for the next setup, I just put the gun in one hand as just holding it one-handed. And I put that flexible syringe on the nose. There's a look at that setup. And this, too, you can articulate it, obviously, all around, up and down, whatever way you want it. And then, of course, I put the blade in the main gun, and we can remove this, and then just put this hook in the nose in place. Would have been cool if we had another weapon. You could probably make something to where it would have a handle, for as well for these accessories to hold in his other hand. I mean, I guess you have the gun, but that's pretty much it as far as weapons, accessories, and not too you can turn either way. Gun you could spin out, look like that. So now the next thing I want to do is let's remove the armor off the body. So let me get the wings out of the way. I think, all right, we're going to have to pull this piece back off. All right, pop right out. Let's remove the head off the ball peg. I'm just going to do this on camera. Make sure it's, yeah, you got to watch your finger. These are sharp under here. Okay, that was pretty easy. Let's look at the bottom of the head. It's a typical Masterverse ball peg with the neck. And then remove the armor. Let's get the arms out of the way, and it's just two flaps, excuse me, that you got to pop. Break on this side like so, pretty soft. And then you're going to pull the armor right off the body, down like so. And then there's a look at the main buck for Mosquito. I'm going to put the head back on. Right. I want to use them without it, which looks, yeah, it's not Mosquito. You definitely need that or some type of armor. But if you wanted to use them like that, that's what it would look like. And it's just the small, typical Masterverse style buck with the little chest. The first version. I wish you had the larger one. I mean, I guess you don't see it under this, but... And then, real quick, here's a look at the armor off the body. So we snapped in that alternative plate with the blood flowing. We're familiar with that. There's a look at the inside. And, yeah, it's kind of a hard plastic, but flexible enough. Got to look at the back, and we're familiar with the wings. I can go up and down, articulate, and then I wonder, these pull right out. Not really. You can heat them up. I know they can come out, but it's not something that's going to pop right off. And then, of course, the shoulder pieces pop off like this one. Once I disturbed it, now it just keeps falling out. Okay, moving on. Take a look at a couple comparisons. So here's our new Eternia MOSQUITOR against the Classics Mosquitors. Quick look at those two together. You're not familiar with the Classics one? Yeah, this was a cool, Mosquito. I like the, the big bulkiness of the Classics. That's just nostalgia for a lot of us. The overall look. Now you can see this figure too. It's like he did have a larger style armor, but it's all part of his buck or biology, right? He has the Horde bat, but it's a little more. It's like more on a narrow side compared to the Masterverse one, which kind of accurate to the vintage figure from what I remember. And the Origins one is even smaller. And it had like a clear red lens inside with like a mechanical heart. some veins. It's pretty cool. Almost looks like real blood inside it. Here's a look at his blaster. That looks very much like the vintage, but bumped up a little bit. Not as much as the Masterverse one. And then there's a look at the back. All right, and you can see the articulation. Yeah, they left that big cut so he can articulate with the way they articulated in the day. And instead of wings, he had like these claws. Pretty cool. It could have been longer. Here's another thing too. They should have come way over the body. It would have been neat, but I don't know the point of these. Grab your opponents if you have them on the back or hold something. And now something like this, I don't think these come out like, without customization. Yeah, I'm not pulling my classics apart, but that would have been neat because we could change the wings out. Would have been fun to try those wings on this classics one. There's a look at the head. Now, the head was pretty cool on this one because it was very vintage-like, but a little smaller. It looked better. It looked like it was just a little more logical, if you want to call it that, for the size of the body to where that oversized head just, I don't know, it just seemed like it was getting away to me being in a fighting, in a battle. And this one, too, it almost looks like the blade could retract in or out. It's actually a separate piece, but it's glued in. It's very rubbery. So, yeah, I always like the classics one, like most of the figures. And, again, here's a look at the heads. Like, it's funny how large the head is, but it does look cool on this MOSQUITOR. Now, here's the million-dollar question. So, the classics, the armor does remove. The black color is almost identical to this armor. And, of course, it matches the body. So, for fun, I'm going to take this off the classics or try to get it off. And I want to see if the Masterverse armor with the wings now, because it's a different setup. We don't need this. Maybe the head will work too. The ball pegs are a little different usually. I'll mess around with it. But anyway, let me try the armor with the wings on the classics if I can make it work. And we'll see what that looks like for fun. And then there's a look at that. So yeah, the Masterverse armor fits that classics MOSQUITOR perfectly. Really upgrades him too. It's perfect the way it fits. The colors blend in. Look at that. Put the gun in hand with that flex needle syringe. Just look at the wings on the back. Really awesome. Cool. But of course, we don't have, it doesn't matter. The head doesn't have with the line. You can leave it as a whole. And yeah, just flip the head on, articulation, all that good stuff. Yeah, that's really cool. Really bumps up the classics. And then the other thing is now with the classics, so I'm going to pop the head off very easy. There's a look at the ball peg. Now, it is a little smaller than Masterverse, like a lot of classics. And in some of my videos, if I have classics with Masterverse, I'll try the heads back and forth. Let's try this MOSQUITOR head. So it does pop on, but it is very loose. You can always put sticky tack or something in it or tighten it up if you want to, do this with classics. But the problem is it sits very low on the ball peg, and when you try to articulate it, this will hit the shoulder pads, which we can remove. Okay, but that's what it'll look like with the head on. And then, of course, I already said we can remove these. Let me pop this one off. I just want to see something here. All right, let's do that. Pop that right off. Spin the head round and round. And then there's a better look at that with the Masterverse head on. Very loose. Again, you can always tighten it up with stuff. But it would articulate, go all around, up and down, if I didn't say that already. And then jumping back over to the Masterverse body, here's a look at the classics parts on that setup. They do kind of fit, but the buckles are popping. See in here, you can heat these up and make it work. It's funny because the way the armor sits down, I can't get it around the arm all the way without stretching it. It is possible. I'm just going to leave it, because when you pop these, I usually use a little tool to lock them. With the classics, kind of pain in the neck, there's little tabs, but it will work. But that's what it would look like on the body if you're curious with these things. And yeah, I put the gun in hand, which keeps falling out. The classics one, how about that hand? All right, so there's a classics gun. And then, of course, I put the classics head on a ball peg, which is a lot tighter. It can work. It does, see, it stands off, though. It looks weird. You got to push it down. You can articulate it. All right, there, it looks good. But that's what the smaller head would look like on the body with that classics armor on. And then with the classics armor still on the Masterverse body, of course, I want to put the Masterverse MOSQUITOR head on it. It does not work. It's really difficult because of the way the classics armor is and the way that head is. It's like it barely catches. See, if it's like that, it looks down. When you go to articulate, it pops right off. It's just this hits the head, and it doesn't work the same way the classics head would. But yet this head works better on the classics body. Side it's loose, like I showed. Okay, and then lastly, as far as comparisons and part swapping, let's jump over to the Origins MOSQUITOR, which pretty cool. It's fun, very vintagey in its own sense, but upgraded. Yeah, obviously the Masterverse, I got ripped apart. We get the idea of that. So, most people are familiar with this figure, but if you're not, there's my custom backpack. I've kind of showed this before. I had to actually drill a hole above the button, which you got to be careful of that to mount it. Or you could do it with, like, I had sticky tape originally, but it would fall out. This came from Spawn, like manga Spawn. All right, and had all these claws, and actually had plastic wings that articulated. So that's pretty cool. Look at the size of those. Yeah, they're really old, so I want to be careful. But they did hinge at the time and everything, and you can it smooths all around. But that was my solution to wings in a backpack with all these claws for the Origins Mosquitor. But then you can't use the action feature. All right, and then see, it had a little. I actually drilled this and put this piece in the back, and I put a little tape. There's my little hole I drilled in the back. We don't see it. That's how it's set. There's better ways of doing it, but that's how I did it. Now, again, with this figure, if you're not familiar, it does have the blood feature, which that's so cool. It's pumping, it works. Just like very similar to the Vintage, but the Origins one, they really made the, window a lot smaller. It had a larger bat, very similar to the Masterverse. Not that big, but I remember the Vintage one was a little larger. And they did the same thing with the Battle Armor He-Man Skeletor with these characters. It just, they made it smaller. Might have something to do with the way to design with the pegs, with the arms. I don't know. Anyway, here's a look at the head, of course, right? It's just so crazy looking on that body. And then kind of there's a comparison. Now, this one's even larger comparison, right? And then here's a comparison with the classics, which, yeah, even smaller. Probably look better on the body. We'll try that. Now, so what I want to do with the Origins Mosquitor is I want to try the Masterverse armor. So I already showed you my little custom piece, which is cool in itself. But let's get that out of the way because that's one of those things you got to either kind of find it and make it up a little bit. But going back to the so let me remove the head first on this Origins one. And the first thing I want to do is I want to try the Classics armor. So of course we're not going to have the you're not going to have the blood pumping feature anymore. You're not going to see that window, right? So if you don't care about that, I want to see if the Classics armor fits because I never tried it. When I reviewed this figure, I didn't have the Classics one out of card at the time. Let's see how that goes on. Give him a whole other armor. All right, so see, the Classics one too is really bulky. All right, so that will snap there, and again, these are time consuming, so I'm not going to really get into it. I want to focus more on the Masterverse armor. I just want to try it. Even this one, man, the Classics is having a hard time. All right, I think it will work. And then I want to try see if his head goes back on with this Classics. Just barely. See, there's a real problem with this armor. With the Classics head, and that's a smaller, should fit on a ball peg. It's the same ball peg as a Masterverse. It's really tricky, but okay. So there's a look at the Origins Mosquitor. People curious what the Classics armor on. Again, you can buckle these. You get the idea. I'm not going to get too crazy with this. And the Classics head, which the Classics head really looks good on that body. It looks, again, just the size, the proportions. I think it works better in this giant thing, and it can articulate. Again, something you got to mess around with, but. Let's put the Masterverse armor back on this Mosquitor with the different heads and see what that looks like. It's the whole point of this. Okay, and then there's a look at that setup. So yeah, I have the Masterverse armor with the wings somewhat on the Origins Mosquitor. But if you notice, see, I can get this. Well, I mean, I put the side on first, but vice versa. In this case, I can't get the side on all the way. It's there. It's close. You could heat this up. I have no doubt you could pull this and lock it. But the more you pull, in this case, the side, see this? The armor's popping off. The chest plate is popping off. It's just the overall buck design of this Origins one and the design of this, and you're trying to pull this. So I mean, this is like a harder rubber, but yet it's kind of soft piece of plastic to conform around this body, and then this hard piece of plastic is trying to pop. The main the blood effect. All right, so again, I think you can make it work by heating it, but yeah, this is popping out. But for most part, it would work if you wanted to. I put the shoulder things back on, then you notice the other one popped out as I was messing around with it. Okay, push that back in. They look cool. And of course, I have the vintage head on. There's a look at the wings in the back. So it is possible, but I'm not going to stretch and break my figure. You get the idea. And I just put the regular gun in hand because the Origin's not going to hold these. This big gun with the handle. Barely, I don't think. Oh, yeah, he does. Okay, I'm sorry. It's kind of heavy. So here he goes. He has dual guns. Look at that. And let's I want to see something. So let's pop the head off. And then put let's try the Masterverse head on that, if it will fit. It can sit there, but that's all it's going to do, because it can't go down far enough, because it's hitting the neck's just short. See this? And it bottoms out. It wants to pop right off. So yes and no. Try that again. Yeah, it's not really working well. It could just sit there. Let's look at the Masterverse head with the wing. That's set up. Yeah, again, it falls right off. And then let's try the classics on camera. We already tried it earlier. That works a lot better, somewhat, when you gotta force it down on a ball peg. There you go. And then there's a look with the Masterverse armor popped. Again, you can push this together, weapon in hand, the classics head, which is all, wow, it looks really weird. I can't get it down on a ball peg all the way. And pretty much it, as far as customs, what I can come up with. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to try is just the Masterverse MOSQUITOR head on the Origins body, as is, with the armor removed, because it's a problem, as I showed. And that's what it looked like with its regular setup, the blood effect. It looks pretty cool. Doesn't look bad. Look at the back without my wacky looking, wings and setup on. I put this in the nose for something different. I just left the regular blaster in, because, yeah, after a while I started dropping. This one's heavy, articulates well, and it's something different, and you don't need this piece in the back. Let's put the armor on. Okay, once again, I have the Masterverse MOSQUITOR all set back up, and real quick for a little bonus, I want to use the Origins blood effect that will go on the Origins nose. I forgot about that. I just pulled it out now. But for the most part, yeah, we'll work on this Masterverse MOSQUITOR with the that particular blade. And, I just wrapped it around one of my Masterverse He-Man figures from the Revolution show. Just a quick look at that setup. So you can bump it up a notch if you had that with this Masterverse MOSQUITOR. And you can always, too, I guess. All right, so I say I popped that piece out. So you have to force it in it. Now it's stuck. And I guess you can also just push it on a gun, right? And look at that. And now the gun has the blood effect, and you can just put the that accessory back into the nose, or the other one, the blade, with this MOSQUITOR. And there's He-Man falling down. All right, there he is. I got him on the ground. And it would look like that. Pretty cool. Alright, so that about sums it up, and that's my review on the new Eternia MOSQUITOR figure. And here's a quick look at all three figures that's included with this newer Masterverse wave, which I reviewed all of them. I gotta say, again, solid wave. 3 very unique and cool-looking figures for the Masterverse and the new Eternia series. I mean, Mantenna just takes the cake. Very monstrous, oversized, large, the head, the design, awesome. Alright, and of course we have the anti-Eternia He-Man, which a lot of people liked. For another He-Man variant, you had a Castle Hellskull, the helmet, that shield, the swords, and something I didn't know about the swords that somebody told me in the comments is that, because I couldn't figure out why he came with a movie sword. That's what it looks like to me. He came with a New Adventures, like a laser sword, and then this was like a lava style sword. Somebody said it came with the, I want to say, anti-Eternia He-Man from Sideshow Collectibles, which I never collected them. I do have some Mundo figures, so that makes sense. But the reason why he has 3 different swords is from, if you go back to the DC Comics, the anti-Eternia He-Man basically traveled through the multiverse, killed the 3 different He-Mans, and took the swords, to gain ultimate power. It's kind of cool. And the bio doesn't say that. It does say that he was trying to gain ultimate power, but not kill 3 different He-Mans across the multiverse and took their swords. So I wanted to add that just to update that. So thanks for that in the comments, because I never read the DC Comics. The lore of some of these figures, it's all over the place. I know he originally appeared in the German audiobooks, and I think the Castle Hellskull 3D printed castles people are making, that's a fan custom, I think. But anyway, that's the backstory on him, and really cool figure for He-Man. Anyway, to start a show today, finish up the review, is MOSQUITOR. Awesome figure, just like the other two, the rest of these guys. Awesome looking head sculpt. The interchangeable pieces, blades between the nose, the gun, in that you can store a weapon, one of the accessories on the back, and put one in the main nozzle and switch around as I showed. Right, the wings, the armor, the swappable chest plates for what it is, boots, the whole deal. The only thing is, it's just I think I would have rather the body in black to match the armor, or if you want to do something different, make them gray, then they should have made the armor in gray. Just to make it feel more aesthetically like part of his biology or design, not an individual mechanical piece. Which is fine. Eternia's trying to do something different, but yeah, for me, I'd rather be all part of Mosquitor himself, not something totally different. I guess that's what they're going for, or maybe it was a last minute decision. Yeah, seeing this chest plate too. It's pretty neat that you can swap them out. I like that. But once it pop out easy, you got to be careful of that. There's little tabs. The wings are awesome. Really like the wings. It's interesting they have this little piece now. Again, adapt to the head to this armor piece because it's mechanical. Oh, he just fell. To store the blood for this new Eternia MOSQUITOR. So aside from that, it's an awesome looking figure. I do like the colors, but again, I think I would have rather the body black or the armor gray. That's just me. But I can live with it. Again, it's new Eternia. They're trying different things, and it could be however you want them to be. Really an awesome 3-figure set for this wave. I think they all came out great. Aside my little gripes. So as always, I appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, take care.